Be productive. Alright, that's there. That is there. We will get going. Should probably move the microphone to a place where it will actually be functional. Always good. And here we go. Hello. How are you, fine people? Let's get this turned on. Nice and bright, not too bright. Feeling festive today. Got the Christmas hat on. A test tube. Came with the paint mixer. Finally broke down and picked one up. So now I don't have to shake the paint cans anymore. Just put it on the little paint mixer doodad there at the end of the table. Cool beans. So we got some intercessors to do. I'm going to show off the Jinx print, which came out looking awesome. Got her rocket launcher, a few things that need to be cleaned up a little bit, but only things that didn't quite turn out, a couple of the bullets on the belt didn't quite get printed, so, but I can fix those with, you can fix those pretty easily with a little bit of green stuff, so I will do that and get it painted up. I have a friend who's a big fan of the Arcane, and I figured I'd paint it up like it's one of the stone statues from the intro and give it to her. So I think she'll enjoy that. We'll set that aside. There, pointing the rocket at me, so I'll stay motivated. How are we with this fine morning? I'm all excited. I finally started unpacking some of my Warhammer models. Got the AdMech out, did a little video, quick little 15-second video of the AdMech army, at least the AdMech units that I've been able to find. I know there's at least two more boxes out there, either down here in the storage area or in the garage. We will find them. We will get the army back together eventually here. How's it going, Sandy? Staying out of trouble? So I've got some Assault Marines. We started last time. Didn't touch them since the last stream. Other things got in the way. They'll eventually be Salamander Marines. I've got my little upgrade sprue box. It's been a while since I did any Marines for my older son's army. So these Assault Marines, once they have all their sharp bits, will be joining them. Cool. Glad to see you out here today, Randy, and others that have come by. So we're going to figure out what we're going to do here. The second Jinx statue is already almost done. It's like an hour away. So I wanted one to try to paint like serious business, try hard paint, and the other one's just going to be kind of statue concrete colors. So I didn't want to ruin the one that I'm giving away to a buddy. I'd rather mess up my own and do a good job on hers. Let's see. Alright, so what we're going to do here, we got all the bodies put together, so they are good to go. We should do the sergeant. follow instructions. When in doubt, read the instructions. The furnace is not too loud. Usually turn it off. So what do you got going on today? Ordered some kill cans. Oh, those are awesome. Love the 3D print ones. Yeah, it definitely has a hint of that that look to it. There's a timely reference. What was that? The comic. I don't think I've ever actually read the comic, and all I did was see the movie. It was, what's her name? I've forgotten that actress's name. Petty. Lori Petty, I think is her name. Don't remember much about the movie other than it was pretty silly, but I think that probably fits the comic pretty well too. Silly, silly. Alright, so what are we going to do for the sergeant? Give him the flamer pistol. That would be kind of on... That would be on brand for the salamanders. Let's do that. 90. Yeah, so when I build miniatures, it's not to be competitive. I'm not looking at the list to figure out which weapons are ideal. It's about what looks cool and fits the theme of the army, rather than whatever the stats say. Though I know flame weapons for salamanders are pretty good. We will stay on brand. And we will give him the hammer too, because of course you need your salamanders to have hammers. That's just science. Can't deny the science. We got gearing up for the holidays here in the next couple of weeks. It's exciting. We got last of the Christmas gifts purchased, sent out, and wrapped up, and do enjoy this time of year. Oh, the mold lines. I gotta love them. Saying last time on the stream, there are a lot of mold lines on your standard intercessor kit. It's, for as much as you're paying, it seems like a lot of mold lines. But I guess we shouldn't complain too loudly. Well, that's cool. The Killican's just a fun unit. Always appreciate the comedic value of the orcs. Had a little orc force. In fact, those are my first purchased Warhammer models. Was the orc start collecting box. Painted them up pretty atrociously. It had been a long time since I painted anything, so they looked pretty bad. But they sat around for a while, and then I saw on Craigslist somebody was looking to swap armies. And so I had this orc army that I hadn't touched forever, and he was selling Necrons, and I was looking to get into Necrons. And so we met in a parking lot and swapped armies, and I think I got the better end of the deal, but largely because I saw he had just a few weeks later he put his whole collection of orcs, which included mine, he put them up for sale. So that was funny. Maybe he had trader's regret. He got all those orcs and decided they weren't everything he hoped it would be. But it was kind of funny seeing models that I had painted before on Craigslist for sale. this case. Think of paying for the experience of assembling more and more lines on. Well, that's a very positive way to look at it. That's good. That's a paying for the experience. Right. Okay, that works. I won't fight you on it. A Warhammer deal in the park? Absolutely. And it was the parking lot of a... Oh, gosh, this arm is just too high. Parking lot of a breakfast restaurant. So it's like, let's do a trade, and then I'm going to go get some pancakes. Priorities, right? Gotta have your priorities straight. Warhammer, then pancakes. But to an outside observer, it probably would look like a drug deal, like swapping cardboard boxes out of the back of a truck in the parking lot. Oh, funny. Alright, well, let's get heads, let's get that, do all those things. Shield, let's do that shield. Wait, does one come in the... What is... To remind myself what comes in the upgrade sprue, that's... So if I'm gonna put some bling on him, might as well do that bling. Let's see here, we could do a little hammer. That usually would go on the waist. Definitely need to use the helmet with the fire on it. Let's hold off on that. I don't see anything on there that will replace the shield. Where is a shield? Yep, definitely paying for the experience. What the type of experience, who knows, but you're paying for it. That's for sure. Let's yeah. Let's see if I can do this without making a mess. Whoop. Here, I'll use this. You have fat fingers. Tweezers help. Let's see if that's actually in there. There we go. Nothing super glue can't fix. It's kind of high on his chest, but that's alright. He likes to show off. Alright. So there's our sergeant. We need to do the grunts. We definitely wanted the bandolier guy. We talked about that last stream. Gotta have that one. And then chainswords, basically. I mean, why would you bring a knife when you can bring a chainsword, right? Seems like common sense. Alright, so bandolier is somewhere. Well, there's the grenade arm. Grenade hand, grenade arm. Looking good. And bandolier is here. Well, thank you for following me there and here. Appreciate it. How are the renovations going? The renovations have not changed in a week and a half, which is a little frustrating. They got a call this morning saying that they are painting the doors on the cabinets. today, and we'll hopefully get them installed tomorrow. So I don't know, we're all so jaded at this point with the process that anytime they say something's going to happen, I barely even, like, it's just not worth getting your hopes up. Like, it could happen. Let's do one that's the running dude. Yeah, that one's the one I want. How's it going, Steven? Lots of people out today. It's nice. People buy the box just for this guy. Gotta have the guy throwing the grenades. And something that I would always forget while actually playing the game is that the Marines have grenades that you can throw. Dangerously underutilized. Chucking the grenade, taking a step, throwing. Though he's kind of stepping forward with the wrong foot if he's throwing, but that's okay. We're not gonna get too picky. All right, so there's two. It's always fun. I gotta remind myself when putting the arms on the Marines to factor in the shoulder pads, because you have a tendency to put the arms up too high, because you want it to look natural, but then you're forgetting that the pads would go on top. So I'm always kind of catching myself going, nope, too high, too high. Eating some dinner, huh? Oh, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. Just fighting the temptation to go unpack more boxes. I got out a bunch of my AdMech stuff just to do a quick video, and the urge to pull out one more box is a strong one. We don't have anywhere to put them yet. I have a white cabinet that holds most of several armies, but it's not in the place where it's going to be, so I can't exactly just go like, if I go put them in the cabinet, I'm going to have to then take them out of the cabinet and move the cabinet downstairs. And so the smart thing to do would just be leave them in the boxes, but cannot resist the temptation sometimes. Alright, what should we do next? Do they all want to have a gun in their arm? Is there any other unique thing we could do? Nope, I guess they all get guns. Alright, well, I'll just give them no guns. And it doesn't seem to matter which one's which, so I'll just pick one. I got that one in the middle of reloading, which is kind of neat. Neat little effect. We'll have to maybe grab that one next here. Let's cut it out right now. Yeah, that's our new kind of cross our fingers date, is finishing by Christmas. Once they get the cabinet doors on, and then there's just a little bit of trim work. One of the doors, the door to the spare room, is backwards. So when you open the door now, it opens in a way that now you'd have to reach around the door to flip on the light switch. So we need to flip the door to go the other direction. So when you walk in, you can just reach over and flip on the light. So that door had to be specially ordered because of all the supply chain issues going on. Nobody had a door that was going that direction. Home Depot, Lowe's, and all those other places didn't have a door that went the right way, so it had to be special ordered. It's like amazing, all the little things that pile up when really you just wanted to finish 3 rooms. Yeah. So it's got chain swords that can just go on the back, which is kind of neat. That aren't necessarily held by hand. That's neat. So I could put one on the back of that guy, which is kind of neat. Sorry, I'm just looking at all the options here before we get too crazy with gun arms. Now, I haven't read the rules, but I'm willing to bet you can't give that Volkite pistol to just anybody in the group. It probably just goes to the sergeant. I'm gonna make that assumption. It tends to be the way that rule goes. I'm just going to cut all of the arms at once and make gluing easier. Yep. Oh, where was the one with the ammo reloading? Did I get that one already? Because this is just a combo of, it's a copy of 2 sprues, so you get 2 of everything. Bunch of twins, unless you're kind of crafty about making sure the same ones don't end up on the same torso and legs. That's alright, it shouldn't be too bad. Should we give one a knife just to be unique? Yeah. There better be enough chain swords. I'd be a little annoyed if there's not. 4, need one more gun. There we go. There better be enough chain swords. There's enough in the Indomitus box, so hopefully there's enough here. Let's find out. We can count. I'll go and turn this into Sesame Street. 1 chain sword. Well, that's a bad sign when there's only 1 on the sprue. 2 chain swords. There better be a ton on these. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, okay, there's enough. So there's 4 on this sprue. There's 4 on the other sprue, which is 8, and that'd be 10. So even if we had given that sergeant a chainsword, there would have been enough, which is good. Those chainsword aficionados out there. Actually, the chainsword is not the ideal weapon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One going up or one going straight out? Let's do the one that's up. Be bold, Space Marine. Alright. Are good to go. 2 reloading. Just got to make sure the 2 reloading ones aren't on the ones that have the same body, same leg config. That way they're not so obviously twins. This one's kind of funny. It's just like that casual walk. Like, I'll get around to killing you as soon as I get there. And maybe an hour from now, maybe 2 seconds from now, we'll find out. What's going on here? Oh, that one has this one has his hand on the hilt. So you can put the chainsword on his belt if you want. Which I suppose is neat. Not going to do it, but it was neat. Alright, the bandoliers, those holsters at the bane of my existence. Don't seem to have a really good way to get them to glue onto the belts, but we've all been there. So. Alright, so I think we're good there. Should we glue? Let's glue. It's hard to get too mad at people doing work for you, because like you can get annoyed, but you can't scream at them really, because ultimately he could just decide not to show up, and so it's not like I can scream at the guy and say, get your butt over here and finish this thing, because then they just like, oh, sorry, we're not able to make it this week, we'll try to make it next week, and they can just drag it out. I'm curious how these guys are going to reload their bolter pistols when carrying chainswords, but can suspend our disbelief. There we go. Charging forward. Time for a reload, but charging forward anyway. Alright, there's three Space Marines. Oh. And yes, I remember there are mold lines like heck on these arms, but I will get them once I'm done. Let's throw this one up here. Let's do up. Like a bold pose. Get the weapon up. He's really leaning forward and doing that vertical line test. So that one was marching forward, and I don't want to do the gun reloading on that one. So it will look the same. I don't want them to look the same. And I did complain last time about how you're paying $60 for two repeated sprues, but that's all right. Pretty sure this box was a gift anyway, so I'm not going to complain too much. At least complain once and get it out of my system, and then not complain anymore. Alright. I'm really glad they did this set though, because we like Space Marines with chainswords. That's part of the Warhammer aesthetic. Let's move it down a little bit. Not quite so bold with the pistol. There we go. There we go. Any of you guys do any sort of special gifts for friends or loved ones this year? Like going kind of way and above and beyond? It's like hearing about that kind of stuff. Got a buddy who did, he's been getting into woodworking, and so he's making his wife a table that's specially designed for to have little pockets in it, basically like things along the side of the table for her knitting, and so she can just have all of her supplies in this little table desk, and it's pretty nifty. To make him show pictures when he's done. He should be pretty much done at this point. I think he was finishing it up this last month. So hopefully he's done. Time's running out. Alright, what are we up to? I got 6. 4 more. There is just something nice about just building the model. It's not a... That's a... that would have been a weird position. Something nice about just building because it doesn't require a whole lot of brain power. You just kind of do it, and it's definitely a different experience than painting the model, where it's you have to actually think about what you're doing, and have your brain engaged. But you can assemble Space Marines without thinking very hard, at least I hope. Two legs, two arms, so on and so forth. Pretty hard to screw up. If your Space Marine has 3 arms, then you're probably dealing with a cultist and not a Space Marine. I did find plenty of those digging through boxes this morning. You know, it'll be really nice to get everything unpacked and to be able to kind of do scenes, because what I want to do, one of the things that I want to accomplish in the channel is kind of creating little narratives with completed models. So doing kind of little movies that use the completed painted models to tell a little story. I attempted that in the past. There's some examples on my channel, kind of first trial runs. But it's something I definitely want to do more of, because when you have 1 million models, which I am getting pretty close to, it's good to use them. Find a reason to put them to use. It's not like I'm taking them to tournaments. Get my kids to play. It's been a long time since I assembled a Space Marine, so it feels kind of good. It's like a known. Don't really need instructions besides the arms and legs. So, pretty easy. Well, just the legs, really. Legs and torsos. One more. This guy's gonna have his sword moved down. Too bad. Gun up a little bit, laid down. Alright, we got our 10. Looking sharp. Literally and figuratively. What we got here? So, tend not to do. So I don't do the backpacks until I tend to do the backpacks in subassembly, but everything else in one go. So those will go on little sticks, and I'll paint them separately. But we can do the arm pads because we got the upgrade sprue. So we might as well. The sprue is over here. So we can do some salamander pads for salamanders. Fancy one for the corporal or sergeant, I guess. Or corporal if it came from. And one for the sergeant, and Just for the boys. Can you guys hear the furnace? Because usually I turn it off, but I forgot this morning. So it's just going full bore. If you can't hear it, that's fine, but if it's annoying, I can turn it off. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I have a spare shoulder pad, which will now sit in the sprue forever. Oh, and we were going to put the flame on the backpack of the sergeant too. Every good salamander needs some fire. Get that going too. So we get the backpacks off the sprue and all that. Helmets as well. That's is that an aggressor helmet? I can't tell. You don't like to zoom. It's in the middle. There we go. Think I could get away with putting that fire helmet on the sergeant, even though it's got like well, let's do it. What's the worst that could happen? You've been ostracized from the community. Alright, that's pretty good. Get out! Don't come back. Gatekeep people who use the wrong heads. Don't do that. Pistol. Let's do band. Get the lots of little fiddly bits to put on these guys. Really fun with the mold mines. That's that one. Well, my youngest is getting super excited for winter break. He's like, how many more days of school? Like 2 weeks, kiddo. You can make it. You can make it. Though honestly, they're just so excited about the snow that thankfully was distracting to them. We're supposed to get more snow on Saturday, which will be nice. 2, 4, 6, 8. We come from moved from a place where the snow was not as frequent. I mean, you'd usually get like one snow drop a year. Let's see here. We need the one for the bandolier guy to actually have his pistol on him. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Alright. He should probably have his chainsword as well on his back. There we go. So we get that to that guy. Alright. We need Space Marine helmets. Heads. And I know lots of people paint their heads off of they subassemble their heads for painting. If you're looking for that, you're in the wrong place. As I mentioned before on Twitter, I paint to the Mech Frog standard, which is work on something as hard as you can until you get burned out, then quit in frustration, and it's done. So it's really, you're starting a clock as soon as you start painting, and you get as far as I can get, and then it just it's done. So, yeah, I don't think I'll be winning any painting competitions anytime soon, but you do what you can. Alright, so that's 10, but I already did one there, so I'm gonna have an extra. I'm gonna actually end up having to cut them all off anyway, so. Alright, then we need the other side pauldrons. Stuff's just piling up. These guys have the special ones. Oh, okay, they have the little flap on the where these will go on the right, on the, sorry, the left shoulder. So I'm just not going to use those. I'll just give them the normal pads. Alright, backpacks. Let's see, other gifts. My oldest son got a brand new gaming computer this past month, so that's kind of his big Christmas / birthday gift. Have to keep him happy for a while. The little one, it's a little bit tougher to shop for. So my oldest is at the point now where if you ask him what he wants for Christmas, he just says, give me money, or give me a Steam, let me buy games on Steam. So it's maybe not the most imaginative gifts, but it would makes him happy. So, all good. He's rocking it in school this year, which is awesome. Just got a 100% on his last social studies test, which is good because he's always been good at that, like his dad. Of course, it helps that they're covering some ancient civilizations, which we covered last year. So he's getting the second run at some of these civs. Let's see, that's 5 and 2. So we already talked about the Inca and the Aztec and the Maya. So not often one gets to cover the same content with different teachers. So we'll see. Though he's kind of missing out on medieval history, which he would be going through if we were at our old place. So I'm going to have to fill in the gaps because he's not going to know besides what he already knows about post-Rome through Renaissance, because he's not going to get it anywhere else. I don't know when they do it in this school district, because if they're not going to do it 7th grade, then it doesn't leave a whole lot of options later on. Because 8th grade, I think, is still U.S. history. Oh, this pile of garbage. Alright. We got a lot to do here. Alright. And I can't quit this because if I leave this on the table, then the cat will find a way in and destroy it. So can't quit until these are all assembled. So we'll start with the. Where's the sergeant? There he is. Sergeant. Sergeant flamethrower with a hammer. Looking menacing in his Darth Vader helmet. Focus. There you go. Looking pretty good. You're gonna look good in green. Or you are. So those of you who haven't been here before, the super glue is a challenge in this area. I cannot get it to stick. No matter how long I hold two pieces together, they will not stick. So I have to use Quickset every single time I glue something. Which works. This just adds one more little step to the process. That shoulder pad is awfully far away. Oh. Alright, so I need a blank one there. Though I think these guys would probably be more effective in my other son's Space Wolf force. He just got a big thing before we moved to add to his army, so it's the other kid's turn. Gotta keep things even, so there will be no complaining about favoritism. You only make Space Marines for his army. Alright, looking good for the sergeant. Oh, wait, we needed an empty pistol thing. It's always kind of weird putting these on the back because it would be very difficult for the Space Marine to reach back, way back behind him to actually pull out the pistol. But again, we suspend our disbelief in order to get one on it. It's all right. So this whole thing on the back is why, even though I don't normally sub-assembly for painting, I do for Space Marines for their backpacks, just because trying to paint, come on, focus, trying to paint all of that with the backpack on is absurd. So, alright, and then let's do his backpack, because that'll be fun. So his backpack's going to get the special name on the back. Trim some fat here. Oh, wish I had that Tech Marine handy. I'll show you what this will look like. But I've got the flame effect pretty much nailed down for these, using two types of contrast. The Griffin Orange and Bullet Angel Red. You bring them together and do a wet blend between the two, and it comes out looking pretty cool. Like, nice fire transition. Direction, nice and tall. A nice little fire effect on top of the backpack. And the other atrocious mold line on a Space Marine is the backpack. Okay. As was mentioned earlier, that's just part of the process. You're paying for that experience, right? Alright, so Sergeant's backpack and Sergeant are ready. Alright, let's do Bandolier guy. Get your dragon. Should have done this the other way around. Nope. Well, it is calming. Making a Space Marine is calming. I'll give it that. Blink? Where's Blink? Where's Blink? Here, the 3D printer, it's almost done. Let's get excited. You're gonna have two Jinx statues that are copies of each other. Maybe the other one will come out perfect and I can give away that one. And work on, just paint this one and give the other one away to the recipient. Oh, and I figured out that I broke down last night and I was so paranoid about my Hobby Vices gift not arriving, even though it was reported as delivered. The person on Instagram who received it didn't post anything about it, about having received it. So I was paranoid about it having been stolen, and finally broke down, and I just messaged him on Instagram saying, "Hey, did you get the gift?" And he said, "Oh, because as it turns out, he's in college, and he was afraid that the sender wouldn't send it until after he had gone home for holiday break, so he used his home address. So the package did arrive. It's just at his parents' house rather than at school. Disaster averted. All right. So again, mold line on the helmets, of course, but I'll get all that stuff before I start priming. He needs his sword on his belt. That's what we forgot. Let's see here. How do we get it on there? Very useful tool, by the way, if you haven't seen one of these before. It's just a woodworking chisel tool. I like that for getting the mold lines a lot better than a X-Acto knife or razor blade of some sort. Well, it does not seem to be an obvious place to put this. Let's just put it there. Yeah, let's just put it there. We'll fake it till we make it. There's some sort of connection there that's keeping it on. We'll just put a crap load of glue on it and call it good. Some sort of special connector. You just can't see it. It's there, I promise. And hopefully the backpack will go on there without too much trouble. Yep, that'll fit. Disaster averted. Alright, then he was going to have a pistol here. He's going to be loaded to bear. I'm going to have to do some fancy painting on this guy. Pistol and chainsword on his back. Looking good. But it's worth it because he's carrying a bandolier of grenades and chucking one. It's all good. Don't need to worry about the other backpacks for a while. Alright. Making progress. Slowly but surely. I've seen painters that they basically sub-assemble everything on the Marine. And I can appreciate that attention to detail, but I don't have the patience for that kind of thing. Nope. Forgot to do that, so of course it wouldn't set. Need a pistol. Use the holster for the pistol. VAR Tech. Well, that doesn't seem like a bot at all. Cassandra Houston, or came. It's weird. I've gotten 2 phone calls today from solicitors asking to pay cash for our house. I guess that's the new thing. Would you be interested in a cash offer on your house? No, we kind of just bought this one. I think we're probably going to stay. Thanks for the unsolicited offer, I suppose. At least they're not calling about my car's insurance. That's a small blessing. Oh, forgot to do shoulder pads on that guy. So excited. Send the Marine out without shoulder pads. What could go wrong? Eaten by Tyrannid face bugs. I've seen some really cool gifts on the Hobby Vices hashtag. If you have a chance to go check it out, there's some really cool gifts, like thoughtful ones too. It's kind of neat. It's always amazing what the hobbying community does to support each other, spread the spirit, hobby spirit. Hopefully next year I'll be able to really go all out. I feel like I wanted to paint something, but then in a second I saw the models that I bought for him, and they were covered in more flashing and mold lines than I wanted to even tackle. Like, it's going to take me all afternoon to clean these off. I'm like, you're just going to get the box with models in it. Enjoy. I'll get you next year. Here's a project. Enjoy. Hope you like cleaning mold lines. Alright, he's good to go. 3 down. Almost 4 down. We'll get there. And get these guys primed tonight. That would be neat. Or at least primed over the weekend. And paint next week. So I have to probably help my in-laws do some moving tomorrow. So they just bought their house over here, and so they're moving across the state as well, which is pretty awesome. Getting the whole family out here. Trying to encourage my sister to come over so that my kids can play with their cousins. That'll be good. Kind of doing a full relocation. Greener pastures. That's 4. Did he get his pistol thing? He did get his pistol thing. Alright. Next. We're getting there. Getting there. And the other cool thing about getting the downstairs done is we'll finally be able to unpack all the boxes of games, which have been languishing. I forgot this quick set on getting a spray. Like 5 boxes of board games that have been sitting in boxes or partially unpacked because we opened them up looking for a game that we wanted to play. But getting those out of the garage and downstairs on the shelf, on the bookshelves, which will be nice because then we can actually have people over and have game night. Maybe even do some battle reports with fun board games. Sky's the limit. Got some Terraforming Mars going. It's been too long since we played Terraforming Mars. We got the new version that's kind of like a travel version. I don't know if any of you are Terraforming Mars fans, but they kickstarted a version that's a much more streamlined, smaller scale version of the game. And it's fun. It's not. I don't think it's as fun as the full real original game. But if I was going somewhere, like you're going to the beach for the weekend and you wanted to take a game with you, taking the full Terraforming Mars box with all of the expansions on it might be a bit much. But you could throw the newer version in the back pretty easily. So it has its appeal. And probably the best game we've played. Recent game we've played. I guess it's not super recent nowadays. It's getting a little. I think they're doing a second run of it. Is Beyond the Sun. If you're into board games and you like kind of space-themed engine builders, then Beyond the Sun is a great game for a variety of reasons, including the fact that it incorporates the technology tree into the game so much so that it doesn't feel like something separate. It's just one more avenue on which you can develop and win. You could go full technology and just be kind of a tech company and not worry so much about the other things like colonizing planets and that and up. I just put this on backwards. You can win the game just going pure technology, which is awesome. I love a game that you can win in asymmetric ways, especially since I have some our favorite board gaming friends. Unfortunately, moved away from them, but they make winning quite a challenge. So you got to think about things in new ways, and if you're planning on winning. One friend in particular, she's basically a board game shark. When we play games, there's lots of complaining about how the game is confusing, how things are not quite clear, but then by the end of the game she has 40 more victory points than everybody else and has blown everybody else out of the water. So it's a bit of a faker. Did I put the wrong shoulder pad on somebody? I feel like I don't have enough blank ones. Nope. So I need more blank ones. That's weird. I guess I just didn't cut enough off because they're still here on the sprue. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5. That'd explain it. Oh. Yeah, so looking forward to getting all of that All the games out, all the books put away. So many books. Between the wife's fantasy novels and my history books, we have way too many books. Well, that's not true. You can't have too many books, but you can have a lot of books. Alright, got your bandolier, got your sword, you're good to go. Your head. Always good when the Space Marines have heads. Somewhat important for a successful Space Marine to have a head. Unless you're like a Nurgle Space Marine or something. You're a Plague Marine, and then having a head is maybe not so crucial. But for the rest of us, having a head is somewhat important. Even if some people don't use it. Important to have one. Just in case. These holsters almost seem too big. Like, sure, you have to consider the fact that those pistols are a little bit longer than your normal standard Marine pistol, but those feel when the holster goes down your thigh all the way to your knee, it seems pretty. That's a big gun. Alright, one. Didn't feel like painting today anyway. Got the. Still have to finish the Gator Warriors. Well, I say this every time, but still need to be done. I think part of the problem is because I don't have bases for them yet. So even if I did finish painting them, then I have to do their base, and that's a whole thing. Maybe after this Jinx statue, I have to print their bases. And that'll be enough motivation to get them done. Finish one project and start two more. There's some glue in there, and you're going to wick inside and hold it. Good to go. Do any of you have Space Marine armies? Well, it feels like everyone who plays 40k pretty much seems to end up with some Space Marines, whether they want them or not. They tend to come in those boxes or gifts, and so you kind of start a Space Marine army by default sometimes. So I mentioned last time I've got salamanders. My son wanted the closest thing to a good guy faction, and so even though Warhammer doesn't really do good guys, we went with the salamanders. At least they offer the pretense of protecting people and keeping them safe, so long as you're not a Xenos. As long as you're not an Eldar child, then you're okay with the salamanders. At least they won't go out of their way to kill you, or entirely indifferent, or blood-sucking monsters like the flesh terrors. That was a faction I made. I've got a buddy who mainly does D&D. But for one Christmas, I bought him the Blood Angels holiday box and then painted them up as flesh terrors. So he's got a flesh terror force, which was only vaguely horrifying. Sometimes the shoulder pads are just barely in there, barely touching. Makes you wonder about the functionality, but it's alright. Again, we suspend our disbelief considerably when discussing Warhammer. Getting down the last few here. Oh, that didn't work at all. And our last few, and then we will probably call it a day. I need to get some lunch. Cram some food in my maw. Alright, 2 left. 2 left and 3 heads because I cut off an extra head. Getting closer to the flesh tears than I even knew. Got the glue. I also have some Death Watch. I'll probably, if I do anything other than Space Marines and Wolves, then I would do more Death Watch, just because they're so cool. The shoulder pads with the Inquisitor logo on them, pretty cool. Though I don't think I'd want to really play with them in an actual game, especially with like the Death Watch kill team. Because when every guy has a different weapon, I'd just be constantly looking down at the screen, like, all right, which one does this guy have? What's the range? Because I don't have any of that stuff memorized. It's just not going to happen. I suppose if I played more often than once a year, I'd be able to learn it. But getting there. I was going to find music for today's stream, but still haven't found one that looks like it's legit enough to not copyright strike, which has been an issue. Because there's a bunch of things on Spotify that claim that they don't, that it's free to use, but then YouTube will nail it anyway. So I've got 2 streams now that have hits on them. Not actual strikes on the account, but just copyright claims on them. Not that I'm making any money off of them anyway, but you know, YouTube makes their money off of them. For all 12 people who watched it. Presuming you have commercials. Alright, down to our last one here. So the very last thing I'll do is hit all the mold lines that are still out there, and then I'll glue them to sticks. I know people have all sorts of different methods for painting, but I just grab a piece of sprue, and I tend to use them over and over again. I glue their foot to the sprue, and then I can manipulate them that way. You know, people have all sorts of wacky ways to do it. Some people drill holes in the foot and put them on wire, which works, but it seems like a lot of effort when I can just super glue something to the bottom of the foot. and break it off when it's done. Everybody's got a system. Alright, one last one here. We'll call it good. Don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Alright. I think we are good to go there. We got our 10 assault intercessors looking good. Ready for the next step. Alright, so with that, I will wrap things up here. I'll put the Space Marine head up here. Well, I'll just keep it here, and then I'll cut all the rest of things off for sprue and do cleanup and go have some lunch. So with that, I'll say have an awesome day. Maybe see you tomorrow. Who knows what may happen. Take care, be awesome, make the world a slightly better place than it is today.